Right now, I'm a pretty happy guy. Why am I happy, you might ask? Well, that's pretty simple. Persona 3 Reload is releasing in about a week now, or at least at the time that I'm recording this, it's going to be releasing in a week, but regardless, it's releasing soon, and I can't wait. I've been waiting so long to get my hands on this remake. I remember about a year ago or so, there was rumors about this remake being made, and everyone was just full of doubt. Everyone was like, no, that can't be the case, it's just a Persona 5 reskin. But look at us now, and man, am I glad that I stayed a believer from the very beginning to the end, because it feels good to be right, you know? Now, if you're not eager for this remake, then you have clicked on the right video, because I'm gonna try and convince you to be excited for this game. Here is why you should be excited for Persona 3 Reload. And I'm going to break down why Persona 3 is great, to help you be excited, right? But don't worry, if you haven't played Persona 3 or any of the Persona games, this won't have any spoilers or anything like that, because my goal here is to convince you to either play or watch Persona 3 Reload. Now, it would suck if I just dropped a bunch of info on you out of nowhere, so instead I'm going to drop a bunch of info on you all out of nowhere, but it's going to be broken down into sections. That's right, sections to make this easier to digest. Now I've yapped enough, let's go ahead and get started. So we're starting with music because I believe that's going to be the quickest and easiest to talk about. For me, the music in Persona is really a big selling point because I don't know what it is, but at least to me, for every Persona game that I've played, the music just hits different. I can just, even now, sometimes when I'm going to study, I just find myself pulling up some Persona playlist and listening to it because it's just so good. And the cool thing about it is that each Persona game has their own vibe and type of music. So for instance, Persona 5 is jazz and Persona 3 is rap and hip hop. It's just so cool. Even if you don't like that type of music that is the theme of the game, I think that you should still search up the soundtrack or two and give it a listen. Way of Life from Persona 3 is just, it's great. And if you really want to be enlightened, then go ahead and search up Heaven from Persona 4. Oh my goodness, you're just going to ascend. And if you listen to it and it turns out that you don't like it, then, well, you have to look within. You need to seek help and you need to grow as a person.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. I'm saying.
Joking aside, you know how it is. Music is subjective. Obviously, not everyone is going to like the soundtracks of the game. But even then, I still think you should give it a listen. Surely you'll like something. But even if you don't, there's still a lot more to love about the game than just the music, which is what we're going to go ahead and get into. Because obviously, I can't really. I don't know how you convince somebody to like music. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a music person, so whatever. We're just gonna go ahead and move on. Okay, now we're going to get into the characters, which is probably my second favorite thing about Persona 3 is the characters. And we'll get into my favorite in one of the sections here, but the characters. There are just so many characters to love and appreciate. A lot of them look cool, have pretty nice designs. So when we get to this section and we're talking about characters, it's just really difficult to pick an example of a good character because they're all so good. Or at least it would be hard if it wasn't for Aigis, the best character in Persona. And when I say the best character in Persona, I don't just mean Persona 3. I mean the best character in Persona 4 and Persona 5. Well, she's not in Persona 4 and 5, but I mean out of all of the characters in Persona, it's Aigis. She's just the best one. Look at her. How do you get better than this character right here? You just can't. Extreme bias aside, This is a really, really good character, and I'm sure you've already heard of, a robot or a machine trying to become human. It's not the most unique story, obviously, but it's just done so well in this game, and I just love it so much. And even if we aren't talking about Aigis, we could talk about a character like Mitsuru and her whole thing about how, I don't want to get into it, but she shows us, despite how put together you can look on the outside, you can never be perfect, and you're always bound to make mistakes in your judgment and fail responsibilities. And, sometimes they can have dire consequences, but that's just how it is sometimes. You have to accept the fact that you're human and you will make mistakes. Or we could talk about Junpei and how easily admiration can turn into resentment, and how it can spark conflict between you and your friends, and how empathy can reach people, unlikely people even, and turn into love. And man, there is so much to talk about if we were talking about Junpei. His story is also great. We could even talk about Fuka and how, well, we don't talk about Fuka.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But that's the thing about Persona 3 Reload, it gives a chance for these characters that are already good to be expanded upon, and a lot more than in the previous iterations. Even if we don't even focus on the main cast and talk about the side characters and the social links, all of them have great stories that, well, most of them have great stories that we can just love and appreciate, relate to, and care about. It's just great. There's not too much more that I can say about the characters without diving into, their character arcs and what happens in the story, but they're all so very interesting. And I didn't even go into it expecting much, but I left playing Persona 3 really happy and satisfied with all the characters. And I'm sure that Persona 3 Reload will do these characters justice and make them even better. Alright, now we're gonna get into the gameplay. So, how do I explain this? Alright, Persona is half dungeon crawling and half life simulator. That's the easiest way to put it. Sometimes you'll be grinding for hours or getting unlucky.
A surprise attack! Prepare for battle! Are you alright? Brutal strike! Come on, get up!
Other times you'll be leveling your social link with your favorite character or the character you want to romance, which should be Aigis, by the way. Unfortunately, you can only romance the girls, so that does kind of suck, but you can still level the social link of male characters. Well, those that aren't in your party. For some reason they don't have social links. I'm not sure why, but they will have something similar called social events or something like that, which at that point, why not let them have social links? But whatever. I didn't make the game. So increasing your social links with characters can gain you access to buffs depending on how far you progress them, and it's actually somewhat challenging to try and progress them, considering the fact that you need a certain level and a skill in order to progress the links, which can all vary depending on the situation that you're currently in with the character. Completing all of the social links will make you feel so much more fulfilled at the end, and I can guarantee this. I won't explain any further on that, but as for other things you can do, well, the obvious is buy items and equipment that will help you during your dungeon crawling and do certain activities to increase your skills. For instance, you can study to increase your smarts, or watch a scary movie to increase your guts, both of which, and there is more, will need a specific level, to talk to a character and actually increase their social link, so yeah. But the good thing is, in New Game Plus, you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, moving on to the dungeon crawling aspect. In the Persona that I played, it was kind of basic. I'm not sure how many other dungeon crawlers are, but here in at least Persona 3 Portable and FES, it was pretty simple. You climb up this tower infested with monsters trying to reach a certain checkpoint, And if you've played Persona 5, it's practically mementos. I'm not aware on how they may have expanded this in Persona 3 Reload, because I really haven't watched that many clips. I want to go unsurprised, but I have high hopes. What I do know is that the combat itself has gotten a lot more visually pleasing and is your basic turn order game, but there are a couple of things that may change the tides, like hitting an enemy's weakness and getting a baton pass to extend your turn to another ally, and other skills or tactics that you may unlock due to social links or leveling up. And if you knock all of the enemies down via hitting their weakness or landing a critical hit, you can do what's known as an all-out attack, which is exactly what it sounds like. If you finish this encounter in the way, you get a cool pose from the character that initiated the all-out attack, and just listen, hitting the all-out attack and timing it perfectly with the music, oh, the dopamine you get, it's going to be great. I especially loved doing this with Persona 5, and I couldn't stop myself from doing it. I would just sit there and wait for the song to reach a certain point just so I can get the all-out attack screen looking as fresh as possible. But that's pretty much all I can tell you about the gameplay, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the last and final part of this video. So here we are at the last section of the video. We are going to be talking about the story. Now obviously I'm not going to talk about anything explicit that's, entering spoiler territory, but I will be talking about the theme of Persona 3 and, well, at least one of them, and how I was affected by it, what I got out of it. So Persona 3 is a bit darker than the other Personas. Or at least it's a bit darker than Persona 4 or 5, as those are the only other Persona games that I've played. But I do know for sure that a huge focus is death. Memento Mori. It basically stands as a symbolic reminder of the inevitability of death. Along with that is the reminder of the inevitability of life, and understanding that even though your life is limited, there are still a lot of things for you to do. Handling your responsibilities and making the appropriate choices being at the forefront. Death is something that everyone experiences, whether that be losing someone close to you or just taking a look at the world around you. You can easily realize that death is always there. Even if you can't see it, you know that you grow close to it. This goes hand in hand with the choices and responsibility, as the choices you make can be influenced by the loss of somebody close to you. Whether that makes you into someone that struggles to handle their responsibilities, or someone that makes harsher choices, or whatever else, it all depends on the person. Everyone copes with this inevitability differently. It's a truth that we just have to accept. Persona 3 explores this, and it does so quite extensively. Every character in Persona 3 is affected by death one way or another, and I believe that reigns true for people in real life too. There are people that deny it, people that want someone or something to blame for it, and even people that just accept it and do whatever they feel is best for them until that time actually comes. It essentially teaches you that death isn't something to fear. It isn't something to ignore either, it's just something to accept. It's guaranteed to be difficult at times, and it can even get so bad to the point where it feels like you just want to give up. But even so, you need to move on. Give yourself time to breathe and overcome, because your life isn't just your own. You are a part of the people that you are close to. You are a part of their world. The connections that you make with other people are what help give meaning to your life. They're what helps build your world, as they are an important part of it. No matter your past experiences, there's still a whole world out there for you to explore and a whole life for you to live. Death just reminds you of that and pushes you forward, egging you to get out there and burn your dread. At least, that's the message that I received from playing. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. What was I saying? Yes. At least that's the message that I received from playing the game. Sorry, I'm not cutting that out. Listen, this is my first video. I'm not gonna explain myself. But for you, it could be a different message, and that's why I encourage you to give it a try. So this was why I think you should play Persona 3 Reload, or, you know, at least be excited for it. And I hope that I at least made you consider it. Maybe, you know, if I did, or if you enjoyed, I ask that you please like the video and maybe even subscribe. I'll be making a lot more content, especially surrounding RPGs. I plan to play a bunch of those. Also, I would like to add on that I will be streaming Persona 3 Reload when it comes out, the day that it comes out, because there's no way that I'm going to miss it, and I stream frequently, and I do it right here on YouTube. So be sure to, oh, there I go again, but be sure to check it out sometime. You can click the bell and get notified for it, you know, if you subscribe, but, you know. Anyway, just thank you so much for watching this video.